Please rise.
Oh, no.
God, of course it
Are
can.
you all right? You want us to stop for a minute?
Yeah, let's stop for a minute.
Yeah, we'll just, hang on, guys.
You know,
Would you join me in the pledge? I pledge
pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Russ and Dan will not be here this morning. They both let me know.
Dan's in Ohio.
Well, he's on his way back. He'll be back this
You
afternoon.
didn't make it good.
I'm glad it's not hell.
And Russ said happy or Merry Christmas to everybody. And Happy New Year, and he'll see you next year. Andy, do you have anything you want to go over based on our little discussions with?
Centrica.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met with Centrica. That's the old Smart Walk group. And they are going to present on the second study session in January and tell us what savings. We had some savings from the first year, in fact, more than what they anticipated, so they'll explain everything to us. They were looking at, we met with Josh and them, the capital development, is it capital development grant? That's what it is, isn't it? Capital development grant, just want to make sure I got that correct, but it was a grant from the state on relocating the heat pump units. And at one point in time,
On the bottom. See your groups. Sorry.
we had met with Sycamore at one point in time, and Sycamore was there also, Sycamore and Centrica, and Josh and Jeff and I. And they had suggested that a lot of those units that are on the roofs are older, and had suggested if you're gonna move them, if you move them down and you increase all that piping, that's gonna put a lot more stress on the older units. So they actually suggested that if you're gonna do that, that might be a time to redo, use some of that money to redo some of the units. Some of them are gonna, about half of them are older. So they had talked about possibly putting the same VRF system in the upstairs as in the downstairs. But we talked to Augie's office and talked to Angie's office. They had some, Augie has a few reservations about using that VRF system, correct, Augie?
Absolutely correct.
Okay. So at this point, we're just looking to see if we're gonna go put back some heat pumps and use the same system that we got. Angie seemed to be, did you say Angie seemed to be relatively, quite a bit happier than what she had been in the past with what we had.
I gotta be really careful here.
Okay,
I don't, let's just say there's a concern there,
okay.
all right, also, all right?
Did you find out, I was standing upstairs with Ray, and we were standing at that unit in the port upstairs common area, and it was blowing out cool air. And I said something to him, I said, does this blow all the time? The guy says, yeah, it blows, the fan slows down and blows. That's Augie's biggest concern in his office, and probably in Angie's office too, is that they blow, it's not cool air, but it feels cool to them because it's not 98.6.
It's not contributing to the heat. Air conditioning in the courthouse is not a, sorry folks, is not an issue. It is the heat and the consistency of the heat, okay? And I pointed out to, what is the Seneca or what?
Centrum.
That if we're having trouble with those units in consistency, why would we replace a system that's working with the same units as downstairs when we're having issues? And can't we replace the units upstairs with what's there? That's the question
Yeah,
I asked.
and that's something they're looking into, they're gonna give us both. The problem with, and I mean, I know what part of it is when that unit kicks off, those fans continue to blow and it eventually gets cool, feels cool.
Right.
Now, you need to, I asked him, I said, can't you move those fins so they don't blow down on people and blow out like a normal heater would? I mean, when you sit in your house, you don't sit there and feel the heat, you don't feel the cool, and you get a cold air out of your own furnace at your house at first,
But it's
but it
really.
shuts off. This thing cycles but the fan continues to run. So that's where I think the issue comes in. But anyway, they're gonna look at both systems.
Right. They're also, you know, and give us new figures so that we make sure we can cover everything with the grant.
Right.
And then double check with our landscape architect to make sure the outside is gonna be handled correctly. Is that right?
Yeah. Something else, you know, you were talking about moving the electrical, the pole and all the electrical, that thing on the outside, the electrical transformers and things on the outside. How come we got, I need to look into this. Why do we have 3-phase at the courthouse? I don't know if that's necessary.
I don't either. I know that, and I've forgotten, we had a estimate for doing all of that kind of thing, it's $240,000
To move
to handle the infrastructure ultimately in a way that would be,
more.
give us 40, 50 years worth going forward.
And that's, you're talking about moving the electricals. Okay. 200, I knew it'd be expensive, but I'm curious.
Well, there's other things, but I mean, it's,
Okay.
How much?
yeah, 240 grand. That would,
From
I mean,
Ameren?
Is that from Ameren?
no, that's from our contractor, that's from the landscape, that would be.
Oh, the massing.
Yeah, that would be grading, drainage, pavements. Am I in the right one? Yeah. Let's see, the right one here. Yeah. Then the pavement wall structures, doing a lot to the walls and the structure. And then doing structure subtotals like moving some of the stuff to below grade so that it doesn't show and all that. Now, we're not submitting that for a grant, that's future when we
That's-
see what we're actually getting into.
That's actually another grant.
Yeah,
That
in
part.
future, yeah.
Okay. Well, that was one where the grant you're talking about was the one where we were gonna go in with the city and apply for a grant, but
That was our 450, let's
Yeah.
just call it. And the
We-
city backed out and we are going to go ahead with it, with the 450.
yeah,
Which would do the sidewalks. I think you
and
will.
the landscaping around the courthouse.
That would be this thing here. Yeah, we
So-
got a few grants that.
Yeah, there's.
And at my
I don't
old
wanna get
age, I
those
have a
two
little
confused.
trouble.
But that's future, if we get that one, then, and that's pretty iffy. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
a lot
I
of
mean-
money for the whole state out there, but you're
But
not
we
gonna get
sit
a
in
good
a
product.
unique situation where everybody's gonna go hog wild, and we're not going hog wild.
Right.
Although to me, 450 is a lot of money, but
Well,
for a lot of the, whether it's Naperville or Peoria or whatever, they're gonna go in for,
It was 2.5 million max.
they can go 3 million
3 million,
max.
okay.
So, we were hoping that maybe we could slip in there with a,
The fact that we're not asking for the sun and moon, maybe
Right.
we can get what we really need.
right,
So that's another grant, but anyway, so Josh seemed to think that, talking with them, we got the information we need, that I think he can submit some of the final work for this. What did that end up being, $250,000?
yeah, the grant that we've
To
already
remove,
got, yes, is 250.
So,
Did I hear you say units on the roof, or did you say units outside?
Units on the portico roofs, like porticos, there's air conditioning units, and the roof underneath needs to be replaced.
Yeah.
But that's impossible to do with those units sitting up there. I would never stuck them there. And again,
That's where my mind was going. So you're talking about moving units from
down
roofs
to
down.
ground level.
Which will improve the character and the historical value of the building.
Hey, Dustin.
Hope they deliver prime rib. They would do.
What, do you know his suppliers? Is that what you?
No, but it's worth me to figure it out.
All right, so you'll be outside.
Augie, do you have anything you want to hit with us right now?
We do have the official 2022 candidates guide out. State Board released that along with the calendar. And so I gave you the single page that would be pertinent to county board candidates along with your
Spit them out, but he'll leave it alone.
required forms. So
All right, thanks, Dustin.
signature requirement is 17.
Sorry.
That's weird.
I got a refrigerator down.
One time it's 12, next time it's 6.
Problem, so.
Yeah, they have there's a calculation, and then you take that number and reduce it by a third, because they've shortened the circulation period. So, and it's all subject to a minimum of 25, so we take 25 less a third, and then round it up, you get 17.
This time it would be different, though, correct me if I'm wrong, but in your district, for example, obviously, one of the Genesis is a Republican, but if you know somebody like Marvin can sign your petition as a Democrat, but he cannot sign anybody else's then. I mean, he
How
can't
would-
sign a Democrat.
How do we know that?
You just make sure when you're circulating, if you're, just ask and remind them if they still want to sign it, that they can't sign anybody else's. That's all you
Let's
have
take
to
a
do.
Bible with you.
It's not a big deal, but
Yeah.
it is a change. That it,
That's it. Merry Christmas.
Carl? Nothing?
I went to the chamber meeting. That was the same night as the community watch meeting. And so I'm sorry Dan isn't here. Did you go to that? No. I have to have our newspaper.
Okay, which meeting was I supposed to, or,
That was the big community watch
No.
meeting that was at Memorial? Yeah. And so I went to the chamber one, and of course, everybody knew everybody else. I only knew like half of the people there, so I don't know who was there because they didn't go around and do a roll call or anything. I was definitely the oldest person there by at least 10 years.
Holy cow,
Maybe,
how old are you?
maybe closer to 20. And
no comments, guys, you're just getting in trouble.
I haven't signed the sexist thing
I,
yet.
I was thinking about that though, because through the years, you know, with Extension, I used to speak to both the Noon and the Early Riser Kiwanis and Rotary, and the Noon Kiwanis were the youngest group by a lot. And so I thought, you know, it's really heartening to see that the chamber group is so young. And they're energetic, and they had good ideas, they had good conversation. So that was very heartening, and the conversation before the meeting started was on the break-in advance. No, Wentz.
Wentz, yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
You tell I'm not a local.
It's
And,
okay.
and so we had that conversation, which led it to be easy for me to discuss what the county board's role and abilities were to try to address some of the break-ins and such that we're experiencing, so that was nice. And I had to miss the supervisor of assessments meeting
I went to
and the
that.
ESDA meeting. I had hoped to attend both of those,
I
but
do.
Matt and I were up cutting a heifer out of a hay feeder. for one of those. So, the other one I was doing chores, so 5 o'clock works really well, but not on those days, so that's all I have.
I'm in receipt of the draft copy of the solar, and we're gonna sit down. I just have a couple of questions based on not what you put in, but what some of the comments that the Farm Bureau was, and how
Mhm.
that will change the final draft, if any. Okay, that's what I'm
Okay.
talking about.
Yeah,
And we're still aiming for the February meeting. Hopefully you'll be able to get the draft out, the final draft copy that we can start to review in a couple of weeks, I would think, right after the first year.
do you want me to come to your house some evening this week?
Sure.
Or whenever works for you?
That's fine.
Other than for Avis, I'm pretty flexible.
That's fine. No,
Neighbor.
that's-
So kind of what I took out of that a little bit is that old people aren't all that, energetic, is that what you
She'll be
said?
93 next month.
I was talking about the young people, you said,
Oh.
but you like that because
I
they,
did. They have a lot of energy and a lot of good
that's
ideas.
what I was trying to insult you about.
No, you can't. It's very interesting too that they needed to be in 4-H and FFA because I saw some struggles with how to run a meeting.
I mean, they were energetic, but they weren't as organized as you would expect.
Yeah.
They don't have the
Or as
parliamentary
informed on
procedure down.
parliamentary procedure.
Yeah.
It's a knack.
It
It
is.
is, and it's one that if you're lucky, you've experienced meetings that were well run, and you learn from that. But they're a good and energetic group, and kudos to them. They've faced some real challenges with COVID and trying to get back into the swing of things.
Okay, I'll think of it, hang on, the drainage districts. Okay, I was able to talk to the attorney after that, who services through his law firm a lot of the drainage districts. There are about 50 of them. First, huh?
James?
Yes, Dick. And he informed me that most drainage districts want to be left to do their own thing. Now, I told him, and I didn't name them here, but I gave him the names of individuals and their concerns. He knew them all. He was going to contact each one of them by phone or by letter, offering solutions to their problems so they can handle it. There's a couple of them that were complaining that maybe they don't need a drainage district anymore, okay? I mean, that is an option, just flat out, but, I mean, that's their deal and not our deal. And he believes, and so does our state's attorney, that we have no jurisdiction in law to even do that. But that we can do, like what we did, was bring issues to their attention and talk to the attorneys, and solutions are available to them, okay? There is insurance available for liability, and some of them don't carry it. Just to give you an example, fees can be worked out if a drainage district is simply not doing anything and hasn't done anything for years. They could disband, and therefore there wouldn't be any more attorney fees or filings that were necessary. So he was gonna go through that individually with those individuals and handle it that way, okay?
That's interesting.
Sounds to me like there needs to be a public education offering for all of them to get together to understand this. 'Cause knowing some of the folks, they only know what they've been told, and that may not be accurate, or it may be extremely outdated. And I don't know whose role it is to do that, but it sounds like they need that opportunity.
Well, he was gonna advise, and maybe when he sent out letters and receipts, that if they have any questions, they should contact their attorney with the questions. Okay? Something as simple as that.
I mean, I would think you could also keep that drainage district, I don't know what the attorney's fees are, but not levy, if, near, you know, much,
Yeah.
if you don't need much. But still have it there for protection if you do need something, so.
I wonder if all the drainage districts do levy. Do you know that, Augie?
I believe all but one of them do,
Really?
I think. Yeah.
So, and then when they do get one of the issues that I found out was all the attorneys involved with the drainage district are required, like a few weeks before we talked about it, to send out their bills. So that's one of the reasons that brought up the issues that I ran into, so.
When a drainage district levies for monies, do those stay with that particular drainage? It doesn't go into a big pot, it stays with each one?
Well, it's kind of like the road funds, okay? In fact, you can see it, what they have, if I can find the, yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
The drainage districts, all of the drainage districts have a lump sum and each, it's like 1.4 million.
Right,
And each drainage district has a portion of
has a portion of it,
Portion.
but is it in relation to what they levy and
That's correct.
that's their amount, okay.
That's their amount.
Okay.
You might have 4 that have half of that and the rest of them have 10 grand. I don't
Okay.
know. I mean, it's just what projects they have and what they've levied for,
Okay.
okay? Does that help a little?
Yeah.
All right. So, although it was, I guess, kind of crying wolf a little bit, I think it was good that we, you know,
At least address it.
right,
Yeah.
so. And to find out that most of them are happy with the situation and offer, you know, some kind of communications to the rest, so. Are there other things? I mean, budget-wise, I've let Don know that, especially on 911, the sheriffs and some of that, we want to make sure that we get accrual taken care of as quickly as we can. Some of the accrual can't take place until the state pays us the final payments, and that would be about 3 months from now. The auditors will be in March, and I can't remember the date, but they are due in to do their work in March. We went ahead, and Augie can speak to this better than I can. The $150,000 is available to pay down IMRF. I think you paid down and wiped out, which account?
The
Echo.
Echo account, yep, yep.
And then the remainder went on the,
Slep.
right. So we'll
On the
have,
what?
Slep.
Slab,
that would be the,
sheriff's
yes,
law enforcement.
And that's gonna leave, what, 31 or 41,000, somewhere in there left that were in arrears.
On regular IMRF.
Well, that would still be the balance for the Slep.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're still ahead in regular, we're a plus 131,000.
On regular IMRF.
Okay? So we'll be even on Echo, we'll still have a little bit left on the law enforcement
Okay.
one, and on our regular, we're good. Okay? And we will this year, the, what is it, 800, 900 bucks that we pay will then just go on Schlep. However you pronounce that, I didn't pronounce that right. We're getting the information today from the insurance company on having the psychologist for the jail. I've been working with Dick James on that and Marty at the hospital, and now we're waiting to hear from JR later today on the underwriting. Okay, so we should know today, and
So, do we underwrite it, or does?
we don't underwrite it. It's, would be allowed to be underwritten under our policy, just like the nurses, we have a,
Yeah, when you have the nurse that comes in.
Right.
Okay,
okay? But we want to do it the right way and
right.
make sure all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed, t's are crossed.
Attorneys get their fees out of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, Dick will be, they need the money. They're hurting.
So, questions? Okay. Anything else to come before the meeting then?
Augie, you paid the final, what we owed Paris Refrigeration on
Yes.
the jail boiler. It was a
Last week.
little more, but well, what happened was that the state inspector was there and changed some of the things. He said you need to put a emergency shut off on them. He goes, we never put those on, but he said it just happened to be there at the time that they were there, and said, here's where you're gonna have to do some additional things, so wasn't much more, but it was a little more. But we do need to see about getting a water softener in there.
Yeah, we've talked about that for
ASAP, yeah.
18 months, so.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to ask at this point, now that the meeting's almost over, is there any public comment? Hearing none, motion to adjourn. Andy moves,
So,
Bill seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you all for this year.
there's business right now.